Hello and welcome to Featherlight Stories. One new story every Thursday and Sunday. Stories you can think about or talk about or feel inspired by, but stories that will always help you feel calm. My name is Cedric, and this is episode 5. The Old Trees. Before you doze off or begin focusing on other things that are part of this story, you need to know one very important detail. This story is about 4 trees, and those trees are not only very large, both in height and in width, they are above all very, very old. And because they are so old, most of the trees that once stood near them perished many years ago, leaving them standing a few dozen steps away from the dark forest of which they once used to be a part. It looked like the forest had thrown them out, as if the other trees had become fed up with hearing their complaints. The truth was that the trees of the forest respected the old 4, even if indeed they did complain a lot about how heavy their branches had become, how tired they were of growing new leaves every spring, something they had done hundreds of times already, or how the cold soil froze their roots during the winters. It was autumn, though, when the forest witnessed something very few trees had ever witnessed before. Humans. Only the oldest of trees remembered the last time humans had visited them, and when that had happened, it didn't end well for many of those who once stood with them. Humans came with tools, sharp metal things that, ironically, also were partially made of wood. As the oldest of the trees, the 4 large ones standing a bit outside the forest in the large plain of grass that by now had turned yellow-brownish since the end of summer, saw the 2 humans approach. They also saw how they carried tools with them.
"I hoped we would never have to see this again,"
the oldest of the 4 wailed. The other 3 shivered, releasing many colorful leaves to the wind, which carried them away in the opposite direction from the 2 lumberjacks. They looked at the 4 enormous trees from far away, and they spoke to one another.
"You understand their language, don't you?"
the tree on the far left asked the oldest.
"I do. The wind carries their words to us. Be silent and I will tell you about what their intentions are."
The 3 trees made no sound as the oldest in their midst tried to pick up some of the words coming from the lumberjacks.
"They came to collect what we all feared. Wood for things they build. Homes, bridges, tables, and shelves." "What are those things?"
the tree on the far right asked.
"It doesn't matter, does it? They want the best wood they can get from a tall, strong tree." "Well, then they're not going to bother us. They're coming straight for us, you fool. Quick, make yourselves look as old and frail as you possibly can."
The 3 trees listened and quickly shook off as many leaves as they could, pushed their branches downwards, and bent forwards or backwards as much as they could.
"Good, good,"
whispered the oldest tree. The 2 lumberjacks stood in front of the 4 and, after exchanging a few words, One pointed at the tree on the far left. The other placed his tool against a tree, and what followed was a loud noise and a very painful scene to behold for all the trees in and outside the forest. For hundreds of years the tree had stood there, but now it came down with a loud crashing sound. Then the lumberjacks washed their hands in a little water stream nearby and returned through the tall grass to where they had come from. The three old trees saw how their old friend lied on the ground and how it slowly died until it was covered under a layer of snow during the winter that followed. Came spring, the lumberjacks returned. The oldest of the trees witnessed them first.
"They're back. I can hear them speak about how they need more wood."
"How so?" the right tree asked.
"They never came back for our fallen friend." "That's because the wood probably wasn't good enough. Hurry, look as pitiful as you can."
The two other trees followed the advice and tried to shake some of their leaves off, pushed their branches down, and made sure to bend forward or backwards. The two lumberjacks again stood still in front of the three trees and spoke to each other.
"What are they saying?" "As I said, they want the best tree for their buildings."
Then one of them pointed at the right tree and the other held his noisy tool against it. Just like before, the forest and the two trees trembled because of what they saw and heard. For hundreds of years, the tree had stood there, but now it came down with a loud crash. The lumberjacks drank water from the little stream, and just like the last time, they walked back through the tall grass, which was now green and filled with flowers. The two remaining trees mourned their fallen friend, and not even the pleasant warmth of the summer sun gave them any relief. Came autumn, the oldest tree was the first to spot the return of the two lumberjacks.
"They are back again." "What for? 2 of us lie on the ground, and none of the wood was ever taken." "They need the best wood there is for what they are planning to build. I can hear them talk about it. Quick, quick! At least one of us can still make it. Look like you're about to die, like all the wood inside is already rotting. Don't you think it would be fair if I were the one to survive this? You have been here longer than I have." "You're right," the oldest tree said. "I will look as strong as I can."
And with that said, the oldest tree raised its branches and turned all its leaves towards the sun, making them shine. The other tree bent forward after shaking off the remaining leaves and pushed down its branches. The two lumberjacks didn't speak this time, nor did either of them point at one of the trees. They immediately began to take down the younger of the two. It had stood there for hundreds of years, but now, just like the others, it came down and crashed on the ground. Surprised, and looking up at the oldest tree that still stood there, all by itself now. The lumberjacks were talking while they washed their hands and drank some of the cool water from the little stream. Then they left. The oldest tree felt a little squirrel tickle on one of its branches. What were those humans talking about?
They told each other how strong I am, still after so many hundreds of years. No need to cut me down, they said, but they'll be back in spring.